I took the fall because I thought I was saving my family. Turns out, she was already building a new one. We lived in a quiet neighborhood where every lawn was clipped and every smile felt borrowed. My name's Daniel. 38. Father of 2. Husband, or at least, I thought I was. Back then, my world was made of soft mornings, packed lunches, and bedtime stories. I kissed my kids on the forehead before school and brought my wife coffee in bed on Sundays. Her name was Lauren. She had that kind of laugh that made strangers glance over in restaurants. Blonde hair always up in a messy bun, even when we went out. The kind of woman who made you feel lucky just to be standing next to her. We weren't perfect, but we were real. At least I was. The accident happened in October. It was a Tuesday night. Rain slicked the roads and the trees shook like they knew what was coming. I was home with the kids, giving them mac and cheese for dinner, when my phone rang. Lauren. Her voice was panicked, scattered. Danny, please. I hit someone. I didn't see them. Oh God, I think they're dead. I remember grabbing my keys so fast I didn't put on shoes. The kids were still at the table when I ran out. I found her parked sideways on Millstone Road, hazard lights blinking through the mist. Her hands were shaking. She couldn't stop crying. There was a body. Covered, still. First responders hadn't arrived yet. I can't go to jail, she kept whispering. The kids. Danny, I can't. I looked at her. The mother of my children. The woman I still dreamt about kissing at red lights. So I did it. I got behind the wheel. Told her to go home, act like she was there all night. When the police arrived, I kept my story straight. Said I lost control, didn't see the guy in the rain. I was arrested, booked, and charged. Vehicular manslaughter. I pled guilty. The judge called it a tragic lapse in attention. The victim was a man in his late 60s. Walking home from his sister's house. 3 years. State prison. Minimum security, but prison is prison. She came to visit. At first. With the kids, sometimes. I memorized the schedule of her perfume. Tuesdays, she smelled like vanilla. Fridays, lilac. The visits thinned after 6 months. Then stopped altogether. Her letters stopped next. No return address. Just silence. But I kept going. I told myself, she's overwhelmed. 2 kids, a job, the house. Maybe ashamed of what we did. Still, I believed in us. The guys inside called me ghost husband. Said I was holding on to a picture that had already burned. But I kept it. Tucked inside my pillowcase. Her smile, holding our daughter on her hip, the sun hitting her hair just right. I held on to that image through every long night. When I got out, the world felt louder. Brighter. Harsher. My brother picked me up. He was the only one who still talked to me. I asked him not to call Lauren. I wanted to surprise her. Show up at the door with a bag slung over my shoulder, grinning like a soldier home from war. But when we pulled into the driveway, I saw a different car parked out front. Curtains drawn. Porch light burned out. Something in my chest shifted. Like a door creaking open. You sure you want to do this? My brother asked. I nodded. Walked to the front steps. Knocked. Waited. It wasn't Lauren who opened the door. It was a man. Tall. Mid-40s. Button-down shirt tucked neatly into jeans. He looked surprised. But not startled. Can I help you? He asked, friendly but guarded. My throat dried. Is Lauren home? I managed. His eyes shifted. You must be Daniel. Everything in me froze. Before I could respond, a voice echoed from inside. "Who is it, babe? Babe." Her voice. My wife's voice. I heard her footsteps approach. Soft. Confident. She appeared behind him, holding a coffee mug. She looked right at me. Like I was a ghost she wasn't ready to face. The mug slipped from her hand. It shattered on the hardwood floor. "Danny." The man stepped aside slightly. "Still between us." "Lauren," I said, my voice hollow. "I'm home." Her face twisted. Guilt. Shock. Something else. Fear. I didn't know you were out. 3 weeks ago. Early release for good behavior. You would have known if you checked. The man shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe we should." "Who is he, Lauren?" Her mouth opened. Closed. The man extended his hand. "I'm Evan. We've been seeing each other for a while." I didn't take his hand. Lauren stepped forward. "Danny, please, come inside. We should talk." "The kids." "The kids are here. They're asleep. It's late." I turned back toward the driveway. Toward my brother waiting in the car. "I just got out of prison for you, Lauren. And you're living with someone else?" She didn't answer. Just stood there. Silent. The way she did the night of the accident. Only this time, I was the one hit by the car. The door clicked shut behind me like a gavel. Lauren led me into the living room, where everything felt vaguely unfamiliar. New couch. New rug. New man's shoes by the door. The air smelled different too, not bad, just not mine. I didn't sit. She did. Evan hovered by the hallway like he wasn't sure if he belonged in the room or not. "You should go to bed," she told him quietly. "Are you sure?" "Yes. Please." He gave me a glance, one I couldn't yet decode, then disappeared. I turned to her. "How long?" She stared down at her hands. Her nails were painted dark red. She never painted her nails when we were together. "About a year." "A year." I swallowed the heat rising in my chest. "So, halfway through my sentence. When you stopped visiting." She looked up. Her eyes glossed. "Danny." I tried. I tried so hard to be strong, for the kids. For you. But everything fell apart. I couldn't do it alone. You didn't have to. You chose to. Silence. "Did you tell them?" Her face shifted, guilt rising like a tide. "No. They think you're still inside." That hit harder than any sentence. My children, my son and daughter, thinking I was still behind bars while she played house with a stranger. "Do they call him Dad?" She winced. "No. Not yet. He's just Evan. He's good with them. They like him." I stepped back, hands on my hips, trying to breathe. "Did you tell Evan what I did for you?" Lauren shook her head. "He thinks you did it. That you were reckless. He doesn't know." That stopped me. She never told him. So he was living in my house, with my kids, loving my wife, thinking I was the villain. I turned toward the staircase. "Danny, please. Don't wake them. Not like this. I want to see them." She stood. "They're sleeping. Let me explain first." "Explain what?" "That you abandoned me. That you replaced me. That you let our kids forget me." She didn't speak. I walked to the family photo wall. Half the pictures were new. Evan smiling with my son at a baseball game. Lauren and my daughter carving pumpkins. My place had been erased. You always said family came first, I whispered. She stepped closer, but I didn't let her touch me. I made a mistake, she said. One terrible night. You paid for it. I live with that every day. But Danny, when you left, everything just stopped working. I didn't leave, I said. I was taken. And you let go. The house was too quiet. Every tick of the clock was a slap. I'll be in touch, I said. Where are you going? To figure out who I am now. I opened the front door. Her voice was small behind me. They still love you. I turned halfway, not fully. Then they deserve the truth. And I stepped into the cold night, no plan, no home, just the weight of 3 years and a betrayal so quiet it almost sounded like forgiveness. My brother didn't ask questions when I climbed back into the car. He just looked at me, waiting. I think he saw everything he needed to in my face. We drove in silence. Streetlights slipped past like seconds. Each one lit a memory I hadn't been ready to lose. Where to? He finally asked. I don't know. He nodded. You can stay at my place. The couch pulls out. It wasn't home, but it was something. I leaned back in the seat and closed my eyes. The last thing I remembered before sleep took me was the way she looked at him, not with love exactly, but with comfort. The kind of comfort that only comes with time. Lauren had built something new while I rotted behind bars. The next morning, I woke to the smell of burnt coffee and the sound of my brother arguing with someone on the phone. No, he's not ready to talk to you, he said. You made your choices. He ended the call and noticed me watching from the hallway. She's been calling all morning. Left a voicemail, too. You want to hear it? I shook my head. Instead, I took a walk. No destination. Just moving. I passed houses with kids waiting for school buses, people walking dogs, a woman watering chrysanthemums. Normal lives. Untouched by lies. I found myself in front of my old hardware store job. The sign had changed. So had the owners. But the smell of fresh-cut wood and machine oil leaking through the open door was the same. The manager didn't recognize me, but he offered me a part-time shift starting next week. It was something. 2 days passed before I called Lauren. I need to see the kids, I said. Today. After school. Alone. She didn't argue. That afternoon, I stood in the same driveway where I'd once taught my son to ride a bike. Now I was waiting to be reintroduced to my own children. The front door opened slowly. My son came out first. 12 now. Taller than I remembered, voice different. He stared at me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Then my daughter. 8. She blinked at me, then lit up like a sunrise. Daddy? I dropped to one knee as she ran into my arms. She still smelled like vanilla shampoo. My son hung back. Hey, buddy, I said softly. It's me. He looked toward the door. Lauren was watching from the hallway. It's okay, she told him. Go on. He stepped forward, hesitant. I saw the conflict in his eyes, relief, confusion, hurt. You said you were gone for work, he said. Mom said you couldn't call. I nodded slowly. I know. And I'm sorry. But I'm here now. And I want to talk to you. Both of you. We walked to the park 2 blocks away. Just like we used to. The kids took turns talking over each other, filling in 3 years of gaps I could never get back. My daughter showed me a picture she drew of our old house. My son told me about baseball and science projects. Then he went quiet. Mom said you messed up bad. That you had to go away to fix it. I took a breath. Your mom and I made a decision that night. One that changed everything. And I kept quiet because I thought it would protect you. But I think, maybe I should have told the truth sooner. He watched me. Did you hurt someone? I took the blame for something I didn't do. Because I thought it was the right thing for our family. He didn't say anything. Just nodded slowly. Kids don't need full confessions. They feel what's real. They read silence like text. When I brought them back home, Lauren was waiting on the porch. She looked nervous. How'd it go? They're good kids, I said. Better than we deserve. She looked down. They missed you. Even when they stopped saying it. I want time with them, I said. Weekends. Dinners. Anything. I don't care if I sleep in my car, I'm not disappearing again. She nodded. Okay. We'll work something out. And Evan? She hesitated. I don't want him around when I'm with them. Not yet. I understand. There was a pause. Do you hate me? She asked quietly. I looked at her. At the woman I once loved enough to trade my life for. No. And that was the truth. I didn't hate her. But I didn't know who she was anymore. I stayed in my brother's spare room for 2 weeks. Every night, I stared at the same ceiling fan turning above me, listening to the hum like it had something to say. I'd get up early, take the shift at the hardware store, come back exhausted, and still couldn't sleep. Not really. One night, I drove past the house again. Lights were on. Kids' shadows in the upstairs windows. Laughter drifted out, faint but sharp. It sounded like happiness. The kind you only hear when you're standing outside the window, not inside it. And then I saw his car in the driveway. Evan. Still there. Still playing husband. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles cracked. But I didn't go in. I drove off, heart pounding, wondering what else he'd taken from me without even knowing the price. A few days later, I picked the kids up for our first weekend together. Lauren had packed their bags and gave me a half smile at the door. They've been looking forward to this. I nodded, keeping my eyes on the kids. My daughter wrapped her arms around my waist. My son gave a small, quiet smile. We stayed at a small Airbnb outside town. A cabin. 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, nothing fancy. But it was ours. We made pancakes. Played board games. Watched movies under a blanket. But that night, my son couldn't sleep. You okay, bud? He sat on the edge of the couch, knees pulled to his chest. Do you still love Mom? The question hit me in the ribs. I love the mom I knew, I said carefully. And I'll always care about her because she gave me you and your sister. He nodded, chewing his lip. Evan tries hard, he said. But he's not you. I felt my throat tighten. You don't have to choose. I'll never ask you to. But I'm here now. And I'm not leaving again. He leaned against me, just enough for me to feel his weight. The next day, while the kids played by the creek, I checked my phone. Missed call from a number I didn't recognize. Then a voicemail. Daniel? This is Marlene Cooper. I work in records at the courthouse. We met briefly during your arraignment. Listen. I probably shouldn't be calling, but something's been bugging me for years. About your case. The evidence file, it was altered. And recently, someone tried to access it again. Thought you should know. I played the message 3 times. Altered? I drove back into town that evening and waited in the diner parking lot until her shift ended. She looked startled when she saw me. I shouldn't be talking to you, she said, glancing around. But something's off. Back when your case came in, there was a missing timestamp on the traffic cam footage. Nothing major, I thought, until last week. Someone tried to pull the file. Same camera. Same intersection. But it was sealed. Who tried to pull it? I couldn't see a name. Just a user ID from an attorney's office. Lauren had said Evan was in finance. But when I searched him online the next morning, I found his LinkedIn. Corporate law. Not finance. My hands started to sweat. He wasn't just some guy she fell into. He was connected. And he wanted something buried. I returned the kids that afternoon. Lauren came outside, eyes tired, hair pulled back like the old days. They had fun, I said. But I need to talk to you. Alone. She nodded slowly. We walked a few steps down the sidewalk. Why did someone from Evan's firm access the evidence file from my case? Her breath caught. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, Lauren. Not again. Her voice dropped. He said it was nothing. Just curiosity. No one casually accesses sealed court footage. Not unless there's something to hide. She looked away. Did you tell him the truth? That I took the fall for you? Silence. Lauren. No, she said finally. He doesn't know. I nodded, the knot in my chest hardening. Then maybe it's time he did. I waited outside his office. 7th floor. Glass and chrome. The kind of law firm where smiles cost extra. His name was on the door, Evan B. Waters, partner. I told the receptionist I was a potential client. I didn't give a name. 10 minutes later, he stepped out. Saw me. Froze. We need to talk, I said. He looked over his shoulder, then back at me. Daniel, this isn't the place. Then make it the place. He sighed. Led me into a glass-walled conference room. Closed the blinds. Closed the door. What do you want? The truth. He sat, folded his hands. About what? You pulled my court file. Don't bother denying it. Why? His jaw clenched. It was precautionary. I needed to know what I was walking into. You're sleeping with the mother of my kids. I'd say you've walked in plenty. He didn't flinch. She never told me the details. Just that you made a mistake. No, I said. I didn't. She did. I took the fall. His expression shifted. Doubt. Then something colder. Why are you here, really? To threaten me? To shake things up? No. I'm here to ask you a question. He leaned back. Ask. Did you know her before the accident? The question landed like a punch. His face didn't move, but his fingers twitched. Just once. No, he said. Too fast. Because I'm starting to think that night wasn't just some tragic coincidence. The missing timestamp. The sealed footage. Your firm's ID on the access log. He stood. This conversation is over. I stood too. Tell her. Or I will. He opened the door. Get out. I walked past the receptionist, out through the gleaming lobby, into the blinding sun. My heart was a drum. Not from fear. From clarity. He was hiding something. That night, I sat across from Lauren at a diner off Route 8. Neutral ground. How long before the accident did you meet him? She stirred her coffee. Didn't drink. 3 months. It was nothing. Lunches. Flirting. But it was something. She nodded. So the night of the accident. I had dinner with him. Everything in me tightened. I told you I was working late. But I was with him. I was going to end it. I wanted to fix things between us. And instead, you killed a man. Tears welled up, but I felt nothing. Did he know? Back then? She shook her head. I didn't tell him. But he knows now. Doesn't he? She didn't answer. And that was the answer. You let me rot in prison for 3 years, Lauren. You erased me from our kids' lives. And now you're protecting him. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Make it make sense. She looked like she wanted to vanish. I panicked. And then everything moved too fast. You took the blame, and I let you. I sat back, numb. I thought you were worth saving, I said. She broke then. Face in her hands. I loved you. I swear I did. But something in me cracked that night. And I didn't know how to come back. The silence between us was absolute. I'm filing for custody, I said. She looked up, stunned. What? I want shared custody. Full transparency. I want every lie off the table. Danny, please. No more secrets. Not between us. Not around the kids. She nodded slowly. And I stood. Left her there, alone with her cold coffee and whatever was left of her conscience. Outside, the wind had picked up. October again. Full circle. But this time, I wasn't falling on my sword. I was standing on it. The lawyer I hired was young, sharp, and had a look in her eyes like she had something to prove. You have no criminal record outside this one incident, she said, flipping through the folder. And now that we have reason to believe you were covering for someone else, we can push for a full custody review. I don't want to destroy Lauren, I said quietly. I just want the truth in the open. And my kids. Then let's start by showing the court who you are now. So I did. I took a second job at a mechanic's garage. I attended parenting classes. I kept my weekends with the kids sacred. No distractions. No missed calls. They opened up slowly. My daughter started drawing me into her crayon pictures again. My son asked me to help with his science fair project. We built a volcano out of plaster and vinegar that exploded across the kitchen. He laughed so hard he nearly fell off the stool. It was the first time I'd heard him laugh like that since I got back. One evening, I got a knock at my brother's door. It was Evan. No tie. Sleeves rolled. He looked tired. Can we talk? I stepped outside, closed the door behind me. You got 5 minutes. He exhaled slowly. I didn't know. Not really. Not until a few weeks ago. She told me it was an accident. That you weren't around. I didn't dig deeper. You're a lawyer. Digging deeper is your job. He nodded. You're right. I didn't want to know. But you accessed the file. Because something didn't add up. And when I saw your name in the sealed records, I started asking questions. That's when she told me everything. I watched him closely. No smugness. No excuse. Just a man standing in the middle of something he finally saw clearly. You love her. He hesitated. I thought I did. But loving someone means knowing their full story. I only ever had half. Are you leaving her? He looked down. She asked me to. Said she needed to fix what she broke. That caught me off guard. She said she needs to tell the kids the truth, he added. All of it. For a moment, I felt a flicker of something close to peace. Not because she was suffering. But because maybe, finally, she understood the damage silence can do. He extended a hand. I looked at it. Then took it. Brief. Firm. Not forgiveness. But closure. A week later, Lauren and I sat across from the kids at the kitchen table. She told them. Every word. Tears streaking down her cheeks, voice shaking. My son didn't say much. Just stared at his cereal bowl. My daughter climbed into my lap. "You're still my mommy," she whispered to Lauren. And that broke all of us. The court granted us joint custody. Evan moved out. Quietly. Lauren and I shared drop-offs, school plays, dentist appointments. No anger. Just mutual exhaustion and a fragile alliance. One evening, she waited on the porch as I returned the kids. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo. Us. Before. Me and her on the beach, kids buried up to their necks in sand. Everyone laughing. "I kept it," she said. "Even when I didn't think I deserved to." I nodded, folding the photo. "Thank you." She turned to go inside, then stopped. "Danny?" "Yeah. You were a better man than I was a wife. I just wanted you to know that." And then the door closed. Not slammed. Just closed. Fall deepened. The trees turned copper and flame. The air got sharper. Life slowed in all the right ways. For the first time in years, I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. I moved into a small duplex near the kids' school. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, mismatched kitchen tiles, a leaky faucet I didn't mind fixing myself. But it was mine. The first space that felt earned. The kids adjusted fast. My daughter taped drawings to the fridge. My son set up his gaming console in the corner of the living room. We had cereal nights. Movie marathons. The kind of quiet joys you don't realize you've missed until they come back. And Lauren kept her word. No secrets. No backtracking. She and I met weekly to coordinate schedules. We spoke calmly, even laughed once or twice. Not because we were healing back to each other, but because we were healing forward. Separately. One afternoon, I found an envelope in my mailbox. Inside, a copy of the police report from the accident. And a note. "I thought you should have this. You were never the one who needed to forget. L." I held the report for a long time. The timestamp was blacked out. Still missing. But it didn't matter anymore. The truth was no longer in a file. It was in my hands, in my home, in every bedtime story and soccer practice I didn't miss. I started writing again. Back in college, I used to scribble poems on receipts and margins. Now I had a cheap laptop and time. I wrote about quiet fathers and loud silences. About choices that burn and the people we become after the smoke clears. I sent one piece to a local journal. They published it. A few weeks later, I read it out loud at a community event. My hands shook the whole time. Afterward, a woman in the back row came up to me. Said she hadn't cried like that in years. Her name was Adrienne. She was a high school English teacher. Divorced. No kids. Loved thunderstorms and hated olives. We started walking together on Sunday mornings. Talking turned into coffee. Coffee into dinner. But no labels. Not yet. I wasn't rebuilding. I was building new. One Saturday, my son asked if we could visit the man who died. "The one from the accident," he said. "I want to say sorry. Even if we didn't do it." I blinked hard. "You sure?" He nodded. "You told me owning the truth means carrying it. Not hiding it." So we did. We drove to the cemetery. Bought white lilies. Stood in front of a name etched in stone neither of us had ever spoken aloud. We didn't stay long. Just enough. And when we walked back to the car, my son slipped his hand into mine. "I'm proud of you, Dad," he said. The air was cold. But my chest was warm. The last leaves fell in November. I watched them from the front steps of my duplex, coffee in hand, blanket over my knees. The kids were inside, making hot chocolate, arguing over marshmallows. Their laughter rose and fell like music. The sound no longer hurt. It healed. Lauren pulled up 20 minutes later. She stepped out of the car slowly, hands tucked into her coat pockets. I met her halfway. "They made cards for you," I said, handing her the folded paper hearts. "Thank you," she said, eyes soft. "You doing okay?" "Better. One day at a time." We stood in silence for a moment. No tension. Just weathered understanding. "Do you regret it?" she asked suddenly. I didn't answer right away. "Not taking the blame," I said. "That was love. Misguided maybe, but real. What I regret is how long it took to see that love isn't supposed to make you disappear." She nodded. No defense. Just tears. Then, softly, she said, "You were always the brave one." And for the first time, I believed it. That Christmas, the kids stayed with me. We didn't have much. A tiny tree. Dollar store ornaments. Paper snowflakes on the windows. But we had time, and stories, and hugs that didn't need reasons. Adrian came by in the afternoon. She brought a pie. Talked with the kids like she'd known them forever. My daughter braided her hair on the couch while my son showed her his science trophy. There was no pressure. No labels still. But I saw the way Adrian looked at me when she thought I wasn't watching. Not with pity. Not with need. With respect. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Worthy. A few weeks later, I got a letter. From the sister of the man Lauren had killed. It was short. Handwritten. "I know now what happened. I know who was driving. You gave up your life for someone else's mistake. That doesn't make you guilty. That makes you good." He would have forgiven her. And he would have admired you. I sat with that letter for a long time. Not because I needed forgiveness. But because I'd finally forgiven myself. Sometimes I still drive past Millstone Road. The curve where everything changed. I don't slow down. I don't look back. But I remember. Because remembering isn't the same as carrying. And some truths, when finally spoken aloud, set you free.